Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Veil, a podcast on psychic protection, spiritual hygiene, and navigating the ebbs and flows of the healing journey as you learn to master both your sovereign and shadow selves. My name is Lauren on Earth, your host. And before we get into today's topic, which is a continuation of the Book of Enoch as we make our way into exploring the Old Testament, I want to just address the current collective energies and what's happening on a global scale because it has been pretty intense. I don't know if you've been feeling it too. I've definitely been in a bit of a death portal where just so many more veils are starting to lift. But if you haven't listened to the last episode, highly recommend doing so before tuning in here because this is a part two. So yeah, we had the TikTok ban. I honestly feel like all of this was entirely planned to just censor more information because the entire time of this going on, I kept getting that TikTok isn't going anywhere. And when it actually went black, I was like, oh, what? And then 12 hours later, it comes back. It's clearly not the same. The algorithm is different. The mathematics are different. And the energy inside this app is different. And it does feel like, I feel like Meta did buy it. It literally feels like there's an entity of some sort, an artificial entity or dark entity that is in the structure of the app. I saw another creator who's also a psychic kind of saying the same things. Like she saw these dark hands wrapped around something in there that wasn't there before. So we'll see what happens, right? Because they are rolling out AI. We cannot stop it. It's happening. I'm sure you've seen in Gmail and other places. And so, yeah, we just have to continue to choose to use this technology for good. And speaking of that, I have been pretty vocal that I am planning to start my stem cell journey. I've been on the NAD for a while. I've done almost 30,000 milligrams of NAD in addition to, a lot of other things going on, but the stem cells was a big part of it too. And there are a lot of ways to do this. You can obviously get the injections. You can drink your own urine. Wasn't going to go there. No judgment to anyone who does, just was not the path for me. And of course, water fasting can support you in producing new stem cells. But what I ultimately landed on was a use of light technology to help you regenerate stem cells. So the next podcast episode, I will be going into that, sharing more information on how you can get them as well. So stay tuned for that. But just sharing that here because it's another example of the technology is coming and it's up to us where we choose to put our energy and effort and how we choose to use this technology. In addition to TikTok, the inauguration happened. I didn't watch it, but I saw some videos, of course, of Elon Musk doing the Nazi salute of Trump not putting his hand on the Bible to swear in. I feel like this was strategic. Swearing on the Bible is actually, God states in the Bible, like not to do that, not to swear on God. The first president to swear on the Bible was George Washington, our first president, who also requested a Masonic Bible. So dark from the get-go. It still honestly baffles me that in my mind that we learned of George Washington as this amazing first president with the cherry tree and la la la. And no, he was a Freemason. And so was Trump not putting his hand on the Bible? Like, what sign was that? I don't know. I think, kind of up for you to decide. Again, you guys know my stance on this. Do I think he's a savior and a light being? No. He's best buds with someone that I do not trust, that I think is an embodiment of the Antichrist. So yeah, we'll just continue to see how things play out. I also feel like there are a lot of entities out to play right now, a lot of darkness coming to light within the collective. And I know this has constantly been a theme, but it feels very intense right now. There's a lot of purging, a lot of people going through it. I get it. It's hard. I know, but it's part of our karma, part of our path, our choice to be here. And like I've been saying, what is underneath this foundation of our reality, of our systems, is so dark, so dark. And it all needs to come to light, and it needs to come to surface, and we need to see it for what it is. And a lot of people are starting kind of that next layer of the deeper shadow work, but we've really only just gotten started. So it's really important to keep working through these feelings and fears around not wanting to be here, continuing to feel and purge the frustration, the anger, the rage, the sadness around the truth of our world and the truth of what we've been through, what we've gone through as individuals, and allow yourself to really see it and to receive support. I see so many people drowning in this, trying to navigate it themselves. And while you will get there, we are meant to help each other, to learn from each other, to help see each other's blind spots. I see practitioners too, because I know it's propelling me forward in ways that I would just be a lot slower if I was doing it all on my own. So if you know you need the support, but it's money that is blocking you, please think twice to give yourself that gift. Like, the most important thing to spend money on besides our basic necessities is ourselves, our health, our well-being. And I've gone through this too, where I was very, I don't want to say broke, but definitely, living in LA, and I was very sick and I didn't have extra money. I had about $200 a month left over just with paying bills. All of my bills, once they were paid, I had $200 of spending money a month. And obviously, I needed a lot more than that. I racked up some debt. And, eventually, after years of this, years of living in this scarcity of like, how can I get out of this? I invested in myself, and I invested several $1,000s in Akashic Records courses, herbalism courses, a trip to Peru to sit with plant medicine. It was scary for me to do, but it was the start of the shift, right? It's like a lot of times we think when the money comes in, I'll get the support I need. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You get the support you need, you change the timeline, you change the belief, and then the money comes in from there. So I have a course coming up. It starts early February, all on sharing these abundance codes. I went from having negative almost 10 grand to, I'm not going to share it, but a lot more than that. And it happened so fast. Like, I would say a year after I made that decision to invest in myself and continue that work within the spiritual realms, I had over $10,000 in my bank account. And it was not even from work, because I haven't even started offering my gifts yet. This was, right? It's like sometimes our logical mind is like, but how is this money going to come in? If you would have told me that, I probably would not have believed you, right? And I would have allowed the scarcity to continue to take over my mind. But the money came in miraculous ways. And looking back, I'm, still healing the trauma of like, wow, to myself, I'm sorry that I denied you that supplement. I denied you that green juice. I denied you that thing that would have really helped with your healing, because now it doesn't matter, because all the debt has been paid and there is excess, right? So it's, just we're going to meet for a month every Monday morning to start our week in this energy, for me to share these codes that I have unlocked, that I have untapped, with all of you, because they're powerful and they're meant to be shared. So we're going to do a little bit of work around the shadow and a little bit of work around receiving, and all, you'll have the recordings. You can continue to go and play it as you need. I think there are 4 spots left. We're keeping it kind of small. So if you have an interest in this, if you want to learn more, the link will be in the show notes, and send me messages if you have any questions. All right, let's get into it. So we left off last time talking about the Book of Enoch. Let's just do a quick recap. There were advanced beings, maybe angels, that come down from the sky to help humanity evolve and advance. God asked these beings, the Watchers, to oversee humanity, asking them to withhold certain information from humans. They neglect God's command, and they teach us how to create weapons, how to harness fire, wage war. They taught witchcraft and alchemy, astronomy. And while it propelled humanity forward, it also caused corruption. And the more time these Watchers spend with humanity, now they are lusting over the women. They cannot control themselves. But are they taking them as wives, or were they taking them, using them, abusing them? Right? Also, again, I really hope you guys listen to part 1, but there are these theories that I'm hearing too that talk about Enoch describing the heavens, right? Which we talked about in episode 1. And one theory says that he was actually describing a spaceship because of how how he described the cities in the sky, how he describes how the weather and wind is made, which also could be describing technology. In my opinion, everything is a technology, right? The intelligence is the technology. So there are theories that say that the Book of Enoch is hearsay, it's a crime against God, it's fake, it's not real scripture, it's not been identified, right, as real scripture. Maybe it is a documented case of alien abduction. And maybe this is just how the heavens work, and it's both. And it is all technology. It's all an intelligence in these realms above us. And we're starting, here as well. This could be a story of, human alien hybridization program that was developed by the Anunnaki, and we'll get to them in a moment. Were the woman being taken, their DNA being used to seed this bloodline? Is this a form of alien abduction? Maybe. It might be the human alien hybridization program, right? That are talked about in these ancient Sumerian texts. I also want to talk a little bit more about the Nephilim, because in the last episode, I kind of gave a play-by-play of the book, but I wanted to add in some more details and kind of like my own thoughts and where my mind goes with all of this. And to refresh, the Nephilim are the offspring between the Watchers and the women. And the Nephilim brought even more violence and corruption to the world. And I mean, it was gruesome, like turning on humans, feeding on human flesh. Humans were helpless to them. And I mean, if anyone has ever experienced a demonic entity attachment, you know what it's like for something to have more power over you, still temporarily, but where something, a little bit stronger than you, where you are in this moment, overpowers you. And the humans were witness to the Watchers and the Nephilim's torture, the killing, the abuse, the enslaving of humanity. So humanity follows suit because they are looking to these beings for this guidance, right? And they think that it is God. And I believe that we are still in this state right now where so many people are worshiping these gods that are actually demons. And I am actually sharing this reel tonight when this comes out, or maybe tomorrow. So I'm just going to say it. I'm not too sure yet. But, any entity that claims themselves as God is not God and is not working for God. Because if you are truly an agent of God and you are in service to God, you have no desire to claim that title. There is no ego, you know who you are, your energy speaks for itself, and you don't need to claim yourself as a God. And so we're still in this mess where we think we are connecting with a much higher divine being than we actually are. And so as humanity starts to follow suit with these beings, this is where Enoch comes in and gives this ultimatum. So he essentially warns them to repent or feel God's wrath. They ignore his warning, and then the great flood happens to reset the earth and attempt to remove the Nephilim from the planet. And everything will die except one man, the great grandson of Enoch, Noah, who we know as Noah and the Ark. The story of Noah is in the Old Testament in the book of Genesis, and it basically tells the story of how God, seeing the widespread corruption and the wickedness of humanity, chose to cleanse the earth through the great flood, sparing only Noah and his family, along with pairs of every kind of animal, to repopulate the earth after the waters recede. However, the full story is not in the Old Testament. It's in the untouched version of the Book of Enoch, and we don't have that access, right? And also, just a reminder, the question from the last episode is the real one true God? Is that who's being spoken of in the Old Testament, or is it a higher ranking angel or some other being that's a messenger of God, or even being mistaken for God? Is it the Elohim? Are they really of the light? I don't know what to say about the Elohim. I'm not really sure the proper way to pronounce it. But I definitely believe that there are a group that call themselves that, who pretend to be these powerful angels so they can siphon as people call on them. Even with the theory of Satan, right? Satan being an angel that fell from grace, fell from God. It's like, have all of these or most of these angelic beings also, are they fallen angels? Are we mistaken by this group? And I've never, ever, ever been called to them, never been called to work with them. And I think that speaks volumes, right? And some of the questions we want to ask are, why did God only spare Noah? I believe it's because of his pure bloodline and the purity of his lineage. His DNA was untainted by the corruption, free from this hybridization going on, free from the Nephilim, right? Them seeding their DNA into humanity. And the Nephilim there was an attempt to destroy them. We'll get to that in a minute. But they did seed their DNA into humans, and they live on, right? Because the Anunnaki, reptilians, the Nephilim have been trying to seed their DNA in the bloodlines for a very long time. So maybe Noah, or not maybe, because it says it in these texts, did not have any of that distorted DNA, and it was an opportunity to start again with humanity. And, Jesus, he was also seeding bloodlines, which is why he had many children, even though we only know of one. The whole family. Anna had multiple children. Mother Mary had 12 or 13. And that's why so many dark souls want to reproduce with you so quickly, or they kind of dangle that desire. I can't tell you how many clients I have had with children with reptilian men. Like they reproduce, they now have children with reptilian men where they got pregnant immediately, accidentally. And I talked about this a lot in the episode with Elon Musk as well, right? He's trying to seed a bloodline too. And yeah, even the other day I had a friend ask me where she can get the real Bible. And I was like, girl, same. Like, none of us can get our hands on it. And I told her, I feel at this point we're uncovering the truth through our own heart, through our own relationship to God and Jesus. But that Bible does still exist. And I believe that it was found in Ethiopia. That original Bible contains 88 books. The Catholic version has 73, and the King James version that we know today, which is a load of poo, contains 67. So, we don't know the full story, is the point I'm trying to make. So back to Noah's Ark. The age-old question is, did Noah's Ark exist? Is this real or a metaphor? The story exists in almost every culture. And I remember as a kid, I read the Bible, like I would read the Bible and then I would go reread it again and reread it again. And it was kind of weird, but it was the children's Bible. And I remember thinking, this couldn't have been real. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I was very much in my logical mind of how could they survive with no food? What if the seas were like, how, and all these questions as a child. But now I think it very well could have been, because there was magic on this planet in ways that it's just not accessible and not possible for us right now, but it doesn't mean it didn't exist. So Noah, right, builds this ark, and after 5 months, the waters recede and the ark hits land on a mountaintop, and a new civilization begins. Apparently, there was also a CIA classified document around this. And so in Genesis, God appears to Noah and says, the world is going to end. There will be a great flood, and it will wash away every living thing so the world can start again. And he asked Noah to build an ark that will hold Noah, his family, and 2 of every animal. In the ark, they'll survive the flood and live to see a new age on earth. That's the story we're told. But we are, missing some details. And going back to my theory on Noah with his pure DNA being a descendant of Enoch and Adam, remember, because Enoch is 7 generations from Adam, Noah is described as this beautiful white light with bright and glowing skin. And he was conceived actually while his father was away, but they're told it's a divine miracle, or technology, or artificial insemination, genetic manipulation, or light conception, like Jesus, right? Which is, to me, technology, and technology, and a very advanced gift. So, another question is, were there 2 of each animal on the ark, or were there DNA samples of all living creatures? And maybe Noah is a human hybrid, but I don't know. I feel like this alien theory is like, there's truth to it, because it is, yeah, there's truth to it, but it's not so black and white, right? Like, Noah is a divine being, and he's also human, and so was Jesus. And, if you want to call that a hybrid, sure. But Noah was chosen to restart the civilization. So the flood begins, it rains 40 days and 40 nights. We know this story. And it lands on the mountains of Ararat in the eastern part of Turkey, or Ararat. And going back to the CIA classified documents, apparently this is what it's all about. They went searching for on the mountain for this ship, and they did find something that measured almost exactly the size of the ship that Noah was requested to build. So yeah, they do find these wooden remains as well as metal, petrified wood. And when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they also found the Book of Giants. And the Book of Giants tells more of the story, basically, right, the giants being the Nephilim. And I want to share a little bit about that too, because we're seeing things from Enoch's perspective, and now we're going to kind of see things from the Nephilim, from the giants' perspective. So the giants were receiving these prophetic dreams of their impending doom. They saw visions of divine judgment, and they sought the wisdom of Enoch to help them interpret their dreams. And Enoch reveals that their visions are prophetic, of their inevitable destruction due to their wickedness, due to their actions. They saw the flood coming, One giant had a dream of a tablet submerged in water, basically symbolizing the coming flood that will wipe out the giants. Another had a dream of this large tree being uprooted except for 3 of its roots, which basically they interpreted as a remnant of them will survive, and which we know they did, because they are still here. And they are here in ways that, again, when the veil starts to lift, they not only did they never leave, but they are still controlling this planet. Another had dreamt of this large group of people trying to basically reach the skies, the heavens, but being thwarted by angels, basically indicating their downfall. And so Enoch tells them that their demise is inevitable due to their actions. And some giants try to repent, try to seek God's mercy, but he doesn't give it to them, right? Because they're only doing it out of fear of loss, right? Fear of their doom. Others were actually led by more defiant giants and were preparing to resist the divine judgment, hoping to essentially evade their fate through more violence and occult knowledge and continue to do even more harm. And to me, it sounds like the now. Like I have so many clients who have a hard time wrapping their head around how people can be so evil. Why would they want to harm, to hurt? I don't understand. And it's because like this is who they are and have been, right? Like this energy on this planet from the get-go, where it's been so deeply ingrained in so many individuals to like they've just completely disconnected from this idea that karma, like no one is above karma, and they think that they can just continue to weasel their way out of this through occult knowledge and through more violence, which is exactly what the giants did. It's exactly what's happening with some of my clients right now, where we are trying to separate them from these dark cults. And it happened with me. My ex cults, there's been they have not learned a thing. They have not learned a thing about what was mirrored to them through this experience with me. They are still trying to, evade their fate, and it's not going to work in the long run. And so many spiritual people, I'm thinking about this one client in particular and dealing with this dark cult, and just kind of always poses the question, like, are they going to get away with this? Like, do they not realize they're creating more karma? Do they not care? And well, like I said, they're not going to get away with it, as the story of Enoch tells us. Whether Enoch is an alien or higher dimensional being, whether all of what he saw was alien or whatever, it doesn't matter. There's truth to this book, and, God is always with us, but we are quite far from God's throne, at the same time. And in ways. So, God does send messengers. The Akashic is a good example of this. The messages come from God, but there are mediums, right, who are delivering it, these masters who are helping to share the message. So this bad behavior is very deeply ingrained in certain souls. It's who they are. It's who they have been for a very long time. Of course, they can always change their mind, but it is going to be such a long process of healing and dealing with their karmic debt. I have a friend here who is friends with a woman here in Tulum who has, been a dark priestess for a while, and she's starting to finally stop using manipulation in her business. But it's like she's just got such a long way to go to truly heal and come into her heart. And it's going to take time. And their time will come, justice will come, judgment will come. And with my client and with these people that, we're trying to disconnect her from, it does seem like they don't care, and they do use more occult magic to try to get away with it, but they're mistaken, and they're just digging a deeper hole for themselves. And, like I mentioned somewhere, they do destiny swaps. So they accumulate all this karma, and then they try to transfer their karma onto other people. And I have clients who were dealing with that as well. But again, they will be judged for that. They will not get away with that either. So I want to tie this into the Anunnaki, because the Anunnaki are, let me explain who they are, and then I'll get into my theory. So the Anunnaki are a consciousness group that I know well and have dealt with, because the ex-mentor, this cult, the people of this cult, they are these Thoth Anunnaki Egyptian cults. And so I know them well. The Anunnaki are these reptilian human hybrid beings who have been trying to stake claim on this planet for a long time. But I believe that they are descendants of the Nephilim, or the Nephilim are descendants. So the name Anunnaki comes from being the offspring of Anu, the sky god, and Ki, the earth goddess. And long story short, they have been waging war, attempting to control Earth and humans, and finally succeeded. And the first civilization to emerge under this new control is Mesopotamia, ancient Sumeria, which is right what our textbooks tell us is the first civilization. We know that is not true, just the first civilization under this new control. The Sumerians were an advanced civilization. Our textbooks say highly advanced, but yeah, I don't agree with that. Well, they were advanced in a lot of ways, but maybe not advanced in the way that my mind goes to. So again, first civilization under Anunnaki rule. So our human DNA has now changed. Our lifespan has shortened. Our bodies have shortened, right? So how advanced can we be when we're under the control of these false gods, these Nephilim, essentially? And we're also, starting over, but we went from being more technologically advanced to backtracking. But I guess you could call them, advanced because they did develop a writing system, a legal system, a government system. There was, for that time, advanced engineering. They did develop as in probably channeled from, whoever, the 60-minute hour, 60-second minute, 360-degree circle, right? The way they organize time, which we know doesn't work for us. It's not organic. And so, yeah, they developed that, but from who? And they also had a very strategic and organized military. There was advanced trade, worship of deities, and yeah, temples. And it was a highly organized society, but also one with a hierarchy, which is important to note because with God, there is no hierarchy, but within the underworld and those beings, the reptilians, there is. So society was divided into classes: kings and priests, merchants and artisans, farmers and slaves. And you can argue that this was good for society and economic growth. Sure, okay. But in my heart, I know there is another way. It doesn't have to be like this. And it could also just be like it was in Lemuria, where you have a skill, you come here with a gift and a skill, and there's no hierarchy in terms of the priests are treated differently than the farmers. Everyone is treated equally and everyone shares their gifts, right? It doesn't have to be like this. The hierarchy, I do not feel really serves us. Although obviously it does in this moment because we are here to learn certain lessons. So it is all divine in the end, but there is another way. And I don't agree with judging someone based off their status, you know? So, anyway, the Sumerians were basically slaves to the Anunnaki, right? These new humans. And the Anunnaki at that time were these mythological deities worshipped by the Sumerians. The Sumerians believed them to be the ones who shaped the world, created the world, who ruled over the humans. And many people are still worshiping them today. The Anunnaki governed so many aspects of the universe, of the universe is in their world, the human affairs, the underworld, according to the Sumerians. They gave them this information, right? The Anunnaki are giving the Sumerians this information. So take it with a grain of salt because it's their reality, but not the full truth. So according to them, according to the Anunnaki, they were involved in the creation of humans to serve the gods by offering this labor, slave labor, and worship. What gods? There is only one God. So all of these little gods, these gods with a lowercase g, they are not God. In my eyes, they're entities, they're demons. And in Babylonian mythology, the Anunnaki ruled over the dead and served as judges of souls. And it's just like, who says, like, who gave you that power? You gave you that power, you know? And this all ties into religion and Catholicism of telling your, sins to this creepy man who then grants you forgiveness of those sins. Like, it just doesn't work that way. But they try to create a system where it works that way, but it doesn't. And in Mesopotamian mythology, which is their own mythology, their own story, right, that they wanted to tell about themselves, they depicted themselves as divine judges of humanity and guardians of cosmic balance. And in later Babylonian mythology, they were also same thing associated with the creation of humans as servants to the gods. And again, gods with a plural, right? Not the one true God, but servants to the gods. Who are the gods? The Nephilim. And in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a scripture from Sumerian times, they are also mentioned as judges of the underworld and responsible for like deciding the fates of souls, and they determine their afterlife status. And honestly, again, I just feel like, yeah, they took it upon themselves to try to maintain this form of control. And yeah, my theory is that the Anunnaki are just this hybrid version of the Nephilim. It's the same thing, because we know that parts of their energy, their souls, their DNA has survived, right? With the dream, with the three roots of them surviving. And in the last episode, where I talked about how they tried to destroy them, but really they fragmented them, and there are fragments of their consciousness that are still here in the form of demonic entities. So, like I said, I know the Anunnaki well because they infiltrated me in ways that you will not believe. My ex-mentor being an Anunnaki, the cults being of this energy, but really it's the Nephilim, right? The Antichrist, that's who they're working for. The Anunnaki are just servants to that energy. And they were vicious and ruthless and really disgusting, disturbing souls. And anyone who's saying otherwise, you're missing, like, we want to see all of it, right? Like, I'm sure there was positive things that happened, but if you're only looking at that, you're missing like such a huge part of it, and therefore you are mistaken because you're choosing not to see a very important detail of this consciousness group. And maybe those people that are defending it are one of them, and they are immensely triggered by being seen for who they are. They have continuously defied God, defied themselves. They've caused a lot of pain and trauma on this planet and in individuals, and as did the Nephilim. And yeah, to me, they are the same. So, like the story of Noah's Ark in the Old Testament, there is a flood story in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the story told through this lens with the Anunnaki, where they do mention the flood. However, they tell the story that they determined that a great flood should cleanse the earth due to human overpopulation and noise. But some of the gods, such as Enki, proposed that this was too harsh of a judgment and intervene by instructing their version of Noah to build an ark. So not quite the same story. And to me also confirms, like, just like in the story of Moses, which I know we haven't gotten that far yet. But in the last episode, I think mention how his God, right, when Moses presents his God, is more powerful than the Egyptian God and all of the Egyptian gods put together. It's the same situation here in a way, because although I feel like they have manipulated the story a little bit, the Anunnaki claim that they were the ones who wanted to wipe out humanity, but that something more powerful than them wouldn't allow it, which is confirmation that there is something above them that is greater. So there you have it. I just felt like it didn't feel complete until I share these details. I feel like we can now move on from the Book of Enoch and start to, yeah, expand on some other topics. I'm definitely going to be talking about stem cells, NAD, cleansing in the next episode, because as you guys know, when you're going through this purging and all of this stuff is starting to come to light, it does take a toll on the physical body. If you are interested in cleansing, that information is already out. I have partnered with a company called Zen Cleanse. I've been working with them for over a year. Every cleanse has been extremely successful. I really believe in the quality of their products. Cleansing is very tough. It's very, very hard, and it's hard to do right. And they make it easy. And there's so much science behind it. And I'm not going to get too much into Zen Cleanse in the next episode, but the cleansing and purging of the toxins, the chemicals, the parasites, because remember, especially if you're in the States right now, like we are being poisoned, and we have to get this, we have to constantly be in a state of detox. And if we're going to start doing NAD and start doing stem cells before we do a bit of cleaning, I feel like it's more effective once we purge a lot of this out of the body. So I will link this in the show notes. I highly recommend going to check out Zen Cleanse website. I would recommend starting with the intestinal cleanse, because we want to start clearing out the parasites, opening up the detox pathways, cleaning out the intestines that are backed up. We are all literally full of shit, like truly, literally full of shit. We are so backed up. So if, to really start cleansing and helping the body restore and replenish, we got to open up these pathways. So, um, parasite cleansing, colonics, enemas, lymphatic massages. If you have not read my PDF that I shared on what to expect when you're going through the purge, I highly recommend. That is on my website. You can go and download it if you haven't already. And I share a lot of these things in that PDF. So there will be more information there. And in addition to the detox, the restoration, the replenishment, rejuvenation of these, dead cells or these disease cells that are carrying disease is also really important. So I do have a 5% off code for Zen Cleanse. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it kind of is, because, each cleanse is about $200 or $300, and you get about $40-50 off using that code. So yeah. If it calls, link is in the notes, and I look forward to sharing what I've been experiencing and my success with you all in this next episode. And I think that is all. This episode comes out on the 27th. I am doing a Kundalini clearing a little bit later in the day. So if spaces are still available and you're listening to this in the morning and want to join, we are going to be looking for stuck and distorted sexual energy, dark serpent energies, stuck Kundalini energy, all of the above. So I hope to see you there. Otherwise, have a beautiful day, night, wherever you are in the world. You can find me on Lauren on Earth on Instagram and laurenonearth.com if you do feel called to book a session with me. Love you all and see you next time. Bye.